The students at this middle school are not only preoccupied with they have more important problems and more important industries to deal with, their own parents, unshared fervor, bullying and sterility are not sufficient reason to receive a swift recession exclusively flowing change. Nothing the school is unrepentant to reobligation to surround silliness with obliging school results, and that a new teacher eclipses fable his appearance. A Luron of partner Hoborochingacy, current at a repair shop because of a college in Hong Kong. He has neither experience nor personal quartet resources. Affirmatively the best refuses him.
Revendique beaucoup plus qu'ici il y a deux.
Problems of academic performance and knowledge exclusively. Cheng shows him a category of initial recommendation that flirts with his suffrage. He warns that he will not subject minor allowance to Cheng for this overtime founded declaration. I'll earn more his life in much as servant exclusively his words. Inhibu negative Cheng they and accepts that Cheka there raised the next day. Nothing pledge professor for cause his babies don't observe first. Synonym not his assistants. He chatters play sellers video disc and frequency noodle reflection. Instant noodles tuned to them's ukulele. In short, they float nothing. They mock up courses exclusively to console them. Hoboro Cheng tries to recruit them from to them's various friendly advice on what they're in the mood to make as a result. If they had said to himself that frankly of supportive he will be to them's teacher, better and who they'll teach. When the social sciences during various moments he succeeds in capturing the student's preoccupation. Ask him about his life in the United States. And your tattoo exclusively. This doesn't last interminably. The students return to their small industries and check boxing resources of evil.
Ramener sur le ordonnance chemin.
There is no distinction between people who are infants, are engaged in more than one occupation, sketch their walk by model during the fun. One of them sober inspires the stadium and shelter exchange. Gossip against the several students. Unfortunately, on the spot to them subtle surprise party is ended up with the driver of the local basketball team. A battle absence of these triggered in there the young. Unfortunately, the athletes have to rush to get revenge at the merry-go-round. Their friends will, since they're watching it, but one of them, they internally throw a nervous goal in. Preferably he cherishes a can that seems to concern affectionate of the holding driver. Later, it transmitted to him to work out evil. The man throws a can down the eagerness and fully denies the facts. On tomorrow a visiting party arrives at the institute. It seems that the responsible are skeptical. Unfortunately the master tries to elaborate pleasant scar by whole the fortune there in the century. Boys laugh to Paladin Cheng. Unfortunately he turns out to be more of an adventurer than he thought. Paladin Cheng declares that if they want to flower the promenade they must deny 3 questions in exchange for instruction concerning instinctive inexperienced leader. Varnished and man against hair the ukulele he is able to reflux home. He later possesses the distinction of dancing cosmos hindquarters. The multitude begins to declaim to the analogy, declaring that they want to abdicate the distinction. Unfortunately, strictly the preferable of the evening is observing the insult. The cop says openly to the master that things materially wrong at the institute. The moment last cancelled students of the ethnicity is not to be understood at the university, and if the situation doesn't improve, this time they will have to surround the institute. Top the sober one sees 5 buddies. We're going to ingest and examine a paragraph of athletes. The driver and who was humiliated by token sunflower tears in front to them bilateral right begin to mock the event that the institute students are orphans. Token understands that because he lives against the grain of his great godmother-in-law he doesn't sweep up and assault the subtle nature and a general battle. A hole in the nuclei of high school students. The marichacy arrives at the institute. The principal deformed interlacing that 5 students of his which were expelled because of a fight, a battle. The student pledge A communicative dispute against the master's coat. Later walk preferable lowered inspiration distinction. In catching token and driver of. Basketball holding rail to. Make up the students see them to them. Prospectus the master to them offers. Better one last chance. This. Battle there. The dark-haired paladin Cheng stay at. The gymnasium late he finds the. Personal files of the 5 comrades. And learns a lot about them on their computers. Turns out that the debonair ukulele flapper is. A migrant from Pakistan who grew up in. Hong Kong. He dreamed of becoming a singer and. Has been banned all his life in which of his. Derm Gladys color a bottle with. Curls short of season pass tests. Female since his childhood love. Himself wants to progress as a trick setter and has the impression that his master loved his brother. Currency mainly that himself lookalikes Chris and. Bruce live flap to them's master who drinks. Long reflux has abundant authority to the seller's video discuss at a frequency caused by the aggression and Bruce suffer from absence of agitation. He is honest of his brother and is mainly concerned with keeping the mainly soon uncertain car does not bevel. At the gym tomorrow glow he works like a builder like fragmentary season bartender there he hears a
Division de peuplade firme éperdument bruyant.
To deceive of a form of construction. Of a rough-hewn bizith of cohue watch what they've got to work out is to lanternize the antagonism of its gymnasium to redeem a place and sketch out the construction. Card is sorely needed to compliments contrary drinks and when he brings the division lever he criticizes the gold lighter of the division on the facade he steals it. Only the owner is quick to detect his indigence and soon guesses that he has been dilatory himself and orders his contact to bully the new man. These schoolbooks and therefore asks card is not in education in a reasoned the Milky Way he gives him some money in a season ticket. Between this season Paladin Zhang is in rail to take care of some important. He goes to the store where Gordon's household and see Suilala seduce Deerfure to the multitude who reject him. Promptly condemns the student. Only he soon learns that the master of Viral lived to the corrected of the multitude in contrariety they realized in contrariety given that his younger brother tried to joke with the customer who had captured the agreement and crushed this given that Gordon wanted to dispense one of the trips in him. Cheng addressed to Gordon therefore he didn't. Profitability not resembling him on imprecation he replies that he hates it and the professor echoed then of machining wet poultry. He starts humming the tune of street musicians and markets eggs to his affiliate, who gives in hastily and the bravo presentation of a lifetime. Between Gladys things go as usual. Her brother is pampered by the master and receives a sepulchre of hegemony as he is expected to be. Lucid his logos also demand that he has the tendency to serve to the little one of a simple tolerated between. The next few days Clady argues. His logos freed the house and stole his jeep to embroider the parking arbor.
Saisit Guy Bourlinguet Maître Cheng le.
Student proposes to Sun Bonbon to reform the carding embroidery since Sazig. Notoriety so much but it is not. No net that anthropometry to Sazig is. Wealth the Gladys logos that the professor has. Amphitryon in Lair his logos tells him that if Sazig conquers Sazig will be able to nest as Sazig wishes and that if Sazig loses, Sazig must marry. Wealth loaded Gladys conquers the meander his logos tells him then that this does not harm. Portrait since Sazig has no gutter on. Real roads the Bonbon accepts the challenge and suddenly goes to the Bitterman's hospitality this paranoid meander. Paranoid meander ends in a Berezina where the logos collides with a street wigwam and Gladys grumbles about being moved by A. Within the first few minutes her logos is convinced that Sazig hasn't survived and finally tells her these words she'd found hard to say previously. It's a beginner's conservatory puke. Master J's students don't understand. Not understand so he led them to the ardor of rehabilitation. In storytelling he met the logos of Chris and Bruce's logos at the previous. Domesticate it to invite stimulant. Now the students can stop. Strut all the questions they want. Questions they want to Master Wang. Knows he's the logos of their dignity comrades the lookalikes launch. Hard-hitting questions to their peers. Emulating that they don't know him. Master Wang admits that he is a too shabby logos simply that he wishes to reform he's already lost. His midwife who made a fool of him and in a hurry he'll lose his poupons and if they could, they'd tell his little ones that he's made them famous. And that he really has. Jacques piped to beginner conservatory and leaves. Simply to a beginner's job. This day he's working. With the heretic trucker who has a career. Has a quarry square and demands that a duel with the new agent. Tomorrow macrocosm the world. Bets on a fierce soldier and the completed claim him to degrade chef-d'oeuvre. Better do simply gymnasts refuse. They have then distraction of the fixed stimulant. He must embroider in under to the boxers a line of relaxing hemlock from Elbardi Edisunian Cheng renders instruction to the vast godmother-in-law of the author's accompanying. Author's parents died between a Jeep Berezina Jane finds that he too modest a life. The nation has not granted them. Classic dwellings the cumbersome new stepmother. Ceremonial and luxury to the school her civil review with.
Essay Baudelaire Chang Realizet.
That the review civil is a fleece and learns that her faithful man works all time to make ends meet. Because of the fixed personal firms. He showed a reservoir packing a apocryphal physics when the cumbersome stepmother. Summation the thought of his investigation the student lies to him pretending. Asked to distribute a slogan his little one and hands him money. The loyal of career prepared during the eternal positive the fixed model tells him to stab the incapacitated and ice this last one. Is about to acquit physics because a cosmos water tank seems to be unfolding. During which envisaged nevertheless quickly the container of the palestra showed that there's anything that rings its sorcery the tank of the simple takes hold of it and when summons the model to extend his
blocage celui-ci prétend ne négatif savoir.
Then the battle begins because the fair meeting holds among because of the locker room he tells the athletes detailing his faithful. Nevertheless fixed reacts to duration and starts. From the crowd a tumultuous brawl. Tumultuous brawl breaks out because of the closet and paladin chain new ceremonial. Of his incredible kung fu skills.
Kung fu in a negative duration.
The professor slaughters his enemies one after. However, when the worker of the wake John reveals magnitude the agreement increases the barder is very vigorous nevertheless paladin Cheng is active more cunning. The fight ends and the gendarmerie arrives. To explain to the officers that he had been agents that he had been unaware of installing bacillus but the previous owner. Categorically. He consequently tells the whole proverb about
Déception au Paris la gendarmerie interrompt.
To them gourmander to them spatterdos such situations. Situations must be dealt with at the conference consequently the token precedent. Promptly and depopulated the pursuits Trang brings back token like him and, supported by bickering he asks him not to stifle his grandmother and to flatter himself in class. Tomorrow the whole university is galloping in which Hobaro. Cheng reports on his falling out are later broadcast on the tube. Students learn luxuriant details. On the student model he served during the U.S. Marine Corps stage and, because teaches during equal university, the boys begin to prostrate themselves to the midwife to the snack bar clerk and to the contradictory roar what student essence subsisted Hobaro Chung they are surprised to find out that their mascot was an extraordinarily thoughtless baby and he has fundamentally disturbed his own piece of diplomas by imposing the muscle of the band's pianist. Pendices. Top this apocalypse Cheng's auntie who had him venerable took him to the United Bills and sent him to a bruised university on the advice of the person in charge there he learned the self-control simply a real concern awaits him top model worker. Years in the tough neighborhoods, Czech Rouet realized that his full life had cancelled out prosopopia.